What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing good. Today, I'm super excited about the topics. It's I've been laying down the foundation for three videos now about the way that I think, and now it's time to get in the topic, to get our hands dirty, and to think about our role or how we can act on in this reality. What is the role of being a human being? And this is what we're gonna do today. So let's start with a thought that I have this week because I don't really listen to fundamentalist Christians because it is a little bit dogmatic. But I heard a quote which says that we're not saved by the work alone, but by the grace of God. And it made me think about something because I always thought that we were saved by the work we're doing, by being a good person, being compassionate, being giving, etc. But what about the grace of God? You know, sometimes we think we don't have it, that we have to seek it, that we have to go get it to be saved, to go through the next reality. Some people think that we need to work hard. It's like doing a class of yoga, and instead of trying to relax, it's we think that the best way to do it is to put the hard work and perform better. So people think the same thing about meditations, prayer, self-isolation, kundalini breathing, psychedelic experiences, or even to wait for a Messiah that's going to help us. But you know what? So far, we didn't have any proof that that works. We never saw someone enlightened. We never saw someone having too much power. So where did we fail to accomplish ourselves? And today I want to bring another point of view. Maybe God forgives you because you already have that spark of divinity inside of you. You start with it. The universe is merciful by itself and is merciful towards you because you are part of it, part of His experience. But we tend to forget that. We tend to forget the spark of divinity inside of us. We deny God's forgiveness or our own divinity. For me, it's the same thing. So every traditions in its own language has that concept of divinity inside of us, but there's another voice within us that tried to convince us that we're not divine. I've been talking about the little angel and the little demon on our shoulders, but it has many names. In the Bible is the flesh and the spirit, or the Son of Man and the Son of God. That's the thing that I disagree with the Bible, is that I think we're all Son of Man and we're all children of God. It's not just that one man, it's not just Jesus, but Jesus is a representation of the potential in everybody. And it has two facets: Son of Man, Son of God, the flesh and the spirit, the divine self inside of us, and the ego. In Tao Te Ching is the book that we're going to talk about today. There's the fourth self and the Tao. In Hinduism, there's manas and Atman. In Buddhism, there's the monkey mind and the awareness. We can find it in ancient Egypt, in Plato, in Gnosticism, in Zoroastrianism, even in modern psychology. It is all over the place. That notion that we have two voices and we have to listen to the good one and put the ego one, the evil one aside. And it seems simple that the only thing we have to do is to listen to the good voice instead of listening to our ego, but it's not that easy. It's like when we're super young, when we're like a baby face toddler, we accept everything. Everything is beautiful. We love everybody. Everything it's a miracle in itself. And then things happens. We experience problems. We start to think that we have to defend ourselves against the world, that God, the reality, life, it's a little bit against us, and we kind of build or form a personality or ego to protect us against that problem, against that reality that we have to make our way in hardship. And sometimes building that ego and using it to defend ourselves, it makes us make some mistake. It makes us to be primed, to be stressed. It makes us sin, and we justify those sins, those problems that we create. We justify them with our ego, saying that we need to defend ourselves against something. And even deep down, we know that we are a good person. That ego is there to protect us, but we still are a good person, and we can see that in other people as well. Even if though that person is problematic, we can still think that that person has a good end, a good divine spark of light inside of themselves. But we build a psychological personality, and this personality becomes so important to us because we rely on it for our own survival. We believe so much in the importance of that personality that we start to believe that it is us. We are that ego. We are that personality, and it justifies bad habits, attacks, or sin. But the important thing about that is to know ourselves. To know what affects us, what hurts us, what trigger us. And when you know that, you can stop trying to defend yourself because you can adapt. So am I am asking you right now, does your ego really serves you? Is your ego fixing problem? Is your ego fixing problems usually, or it creates it? Does your ego heals you or it hurts you usually? We have to realize that God at one point, reality has our back. It's like God is a dad that wants us to go back home, and we find some reason not to. And this is why deep down we are not a sinner. It's time to acting like that. Our dad is acting like that. He's not treating us as a sinner anymore. He's not treating us as someone that's not worthy of that of his house, and he wants us to go back to his home. So it's time to stop victimizing ourselves. We're worthy enough, we're good enough, we don't make mistake, and if he wants us to go back home, we don't need anything else because he's going to provide. Look at where you are in your life. I have a really, really good news. You made it through so far. Good job. You are super fine. You're doing great. I know life is hard, but if you made it through, think about the bad things you went through. You're still there. If you went through what you went through in your life, you can face everything. And this is in that mindset that we have to put ourselves to really believe that we can go through life without always putting our ego there. It's like a small dog and a big dog. The small dog's gonna always show its ego, always want to bark, and sometimes it's really, really annoying. Whereas big dogs usually they're more calm because they know they don't need to defend themselves as much as the small dog. So I'm pretty sure that the lesson here is about that there is some fights in life, there's some problems, but we have to accept instead of fighting it. You know, the small dog will never wins against a human. It's gone by accepting the human behavior that the small dog's gonna be have a better life. So what if we don't need that ego anymore? What if we can know ourselves, accept, and make peace inside of ourselves? This is when the magic happen. This is when we see the world differently. This is when we start to act differently after not feeling obligated to release our ego all the time. And this is when we really start to master ourselves, to master our emotions, and to be more adaptable, malleable. And this is when we become the master of ourselves. The master doesn't force, doesn't chase. The master doesn't cling or doesn't prove. And somehow everything aligns around them. So this is the question of the day. What is the most powerful way to act? Is it stop to trying so hard? Welcome to the Indigo Project. So before starting, thank you very much for being here today. It's a really nice topic. I hope I can make a couple of people thanks here. Please like, subscribe, comment, um, and thank you for being here. You're gonna help grow the channel and spread the words that other way of thinking. So I'm thinking right now, I want to talk about one book. It's called the Tao Te Ching. It is that book has been given to me like I was not expecting it, and it changed my life completely. So Tao Te Ching means the translation might be like the book of the way and its power, or the classics of the way and its virtue. So it is the way of the master. This is the title of this episode too. So it's not just a title. Let's go with those three words. We have the Tao, which is the way, the Te, which is the virtue, and the Ching, which is the book. And right away, we can see a parallel with the Trinity that I've been talking about. The Tao is the way, which is God, which is everythingness. Te, which is the virtue, it is all that all that Tao, all that energy flows through you and give you virtues. And the Ching is the reminder that you need to remember those virtues. So the Tao is the Father, Te is the Son, and Ching it is the Holy Spirit. Tao Te Ching, real fast recap. The Tao Te Ching is traditionally attributed to someone called Lao Tse or Lao Tzu, and he is a semi-mythical figure from ancient China. And the legend says that over 2,500 years ago, a man walked away from society, and he left behind some writings that doesn't tell us how to control life. It tells us how to stop fighting it, and this is the beauty of it. It's 81 little chapters, it's poetic sentences, paradoxical lines, and there's no strict system or you should do this, you should do that. It is not that. It belongs to the philosophy of the Tao, and it's more to make people think. And paradoxically, it doesn't teach, but it unteach. And unteaching might be the way for becoming a better person. The way it's not a path you choose, but it's more a current that you have to surf, to move in. You got to follow the current instead of fighting against the current of the river, and it's going to bring you somewhere. You know that at the end of the river, there's something good. Believe in it, and it's the faith. It is the grace of God. We always think that the grace of God comes from He's so merciful that He sent His Son to be sacrificed and to forgive everybody. But the grace of God is really knowing that God is at the end of the current of the river, and we have to follow the current to achieve it. It is the real meaning of faith, right? We talked about this already. So you can't see it directly, define it, or control it. I talked about it in my first video about when we were talking about God. And the book starts with the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The unnameable is the eternally real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. So the Tao is beyond naming. It is the everythingness of everything. So right away, the books pulls the rug from under language itself. We cannot define it, but we can follow its current. So have you ever asked yourself, what if the person you're trying to become is not real at all? What if it's all an illusion? What if you're trying to fit in the mold right now? Fit in society? Fit to anything people expect from you? It's like we're creating a persona, an ego to fit the mold, because that persona at the end of the day is not even real. Society, the expectation of society makes us act in certain way and think that we are a certain way. And because it's not real, because the persona we create is an illusion, we tend or we want to show it all the time because we want to remember people that it is there even if it doesn't exist. We believe in its presence so much that it becomes us, and we forget the essence of ourselves that we are inside of us. But what if at one point you realize that you are not that voice in your head, but you are that spark of divinity that try to remember itself, that the real yourself is really connected with God and God has your back. Chapter 51, I'll start with that. The Tao gives birth to all things. Virtue nourishes them, matter shapes them, environment completes them. Therefore, all things honor the Tao and value virtue. The Tao is honored and virtue is valued without being commended. The Tao gives birth, nourishes, develops, cares for, shelters, comfort, grows, and protects. Creating without possessing, acting without expecting, guiding without interfering, this is a supreme virtue. So, like I said, God's got your back because it's the essence of the Tao. The essence of reality nourishes, develops, cares, shelters, comfort, grows, and protects. So, what if you step back from your identity for 1 minute? What does it leave you with? Right? When you know you are connected with the Tao and with God, you don't fear. You don't need that ego because you don't fear, and this is why you can go without it. In Psalm 23, one of the most popular psalm in the Bible, yeah, through I walk to the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff they comfort me. So even in the Bible, Psalms is one of the first written book of the Bible, and it is in the Ancient Testament, I mean, and it is saying right there that we don't fear. If we know that God is with us, we don't have to fear life. And this is why we don't need that ego, right? You don't need that character you made up to fit outside of the world because God is welcoming you in His home and you can become the master of this world, the master of yourself in this world. This is the Tao Te Ching, the way of the master. The way of the master is in a path you walk like a road. It's not a work hard process in a way, because it's like some time for some people, not working can become hard. We always want something to do. We always want to work on something or to be occupied by something, to be busy. But the path is more like the gravity. It's inevitable. We have to stop resisting and thinking we have to fly. We can stay on the ground, stop fighting, and just live with gravity, like the path of the Tao. So the master becomes not full because he's not full of himself. Not he doesn't have that personality anymore. He doesn't have that ego. The master is empty enough for reality to move through him, empty of the vision of himself, is empty of the ego. So he stops seeing himself as a personal being and he sees himself or herself in a more a reality based on worldwide perspective. Chapter 11 says, we join spokes together in a wheel, but it is the center hole that makes the wagon move. We shape clay into a pot, but it's the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want. We hammer wood for a house, but it is the inner space that makes it livable. We work with being, but non being is what we use. And that is one of the sentences that marks me the most when I read it for the first time. We don't use the structure of the wheel, but it is the emptiness of the wheel that make it turn. The vase that it is its center, or we need an empty vase to fill the vase. We need and we use the openness of an empty room and not the structure of it. It is silence that allow music. So we need to empty our ego or personality to be filled by something else, by something saint, by something divine, by calmness, by peace. And this is where we make the best decisions in our life, right? It's like um, it's making by itself. You don't need to work. You need to unwork. You need to remove that personality. It's like a water that is carving a canyon. Or, like sometimes you have a conversation that you don't think about, oh, what is that person think? What that person wants me to do? What words should I use? And the conversation, because you don't think about all those things, it flows effortlessly. This is the Tao. It's your best moments in everything. A lot of the best moments that we have, it happens like this. We don't plan them. We don't try too much, and this is where the beauty of life happens, and it is the paradox of life. Less you try, more you get. So it's effortless. It doesn't mean inactive. It means aligned action without inner friction. Everything rotate like a wheel and everything goes by itself without any interruption, any distraction. It's just the real you that is acting in this life. Just a little parallel, really quick. I learned that the hard way. When I was living in French Canada, Quebec, I always wanted to be radio host, which is super aligned with what I'm doing right now. I was not even speaking English back then, so and I didn't. It didn't work well for me, and I remember, and it's the same thing with every kind of art or performance. I was trying so much. I was wanting it so much. I was just stressing with what words to say, how to say it, and that was too much for me. And more I had bad criticism, more I was thinking too much about how should I be, how should I do, and I completely failed in the domain because of that. This is my experience, and it's the same thing with every kind of art. When we start, you just like this is the realization I came with when I was to talk in public like this. What I'm doing right now is just I just need to say what I have to say and the way I want to say. I talk about the topics that I want, and this is what's gonna work at the end of the day, and do it for myself and to spread the message of love. But if I think too much, this is where the ego is gonna complicate everything. We always feel that we need to judge everything all the time, to analyze everything, to have an opinion on everything to protect ourselves. But we can accept things as they are. This is the way to do. What if we don't need to judge? What if we don't need to have an opinion on everything all the time? To be honest, personally, I'm tired to feel obligated to have an opinion on everything all the time. It's okay to say I don't need to force myself. It's like an extra effort sometimes to have an opinion, to judge something where we don't need to judge that. The master, the real master from the book, listens more than it speaks. He observes more than reacts. He allows more than he resists, and he let go of judging. We look at things and reacts and adapt, and less we react, so less we have, especially like big reactions, and more we can be in peace and adapt to any situation and realize that we don't need to defend ourselves when we can just adapt, right? The egos for itself, it says, how do I look in this situation? How can that situation can bring me to look good? Or what do I gain from that situation? Or how am I winning that situation? Or even judging how that person is stupid for saying that. Where it's just the ego that brings that to defense, to put a wall in between. Whereas you don't know what it doesn't matter if you don't look good in that situation, or what if you don't gain something in a situation, or if you are not winning at a game or in this situation. At the end of the day, you're gonna still survive and wake up the next day and be good. There's no, sometimes in the situation we think that we need to defend ourselves, but like if it doesn't matter in a day, in 3 days, in a year, it doesn't matter at all. And the ego brings a lot of bad feeling to try to repair the situation on the moment where it doesn't need to be fixed. It's gonna just flow in the creek, you know? The master doesn't operate from that voice at all. It's not that the master kills the ego. It's not about completely suppressing the ego, because this is another mistake. The ego is gonna always be there. It's more about stop mistaking yourself for the ego. Like you gotta distance yourself and say that voice that tells me to be rough, to defend myself, it's not me. Maybe I don't need to listen to it once in a while. Because believe it or not, you are not that voice. That voice is just an illusion that we create. It is the personality that we create because we're telling, no, dad, I'm not going home. Even if you say the opposite, you hate me, I'm not worthy of your home, I'm a victim, and I'm going to make my life, even if you want to give me everything. Because yeah, that voice is an illusion. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to defend anything. You don't need to compare yourself with anything. The door is open already. You just need to take the door and go for it. Those things, they weigh so much on our shoulders, and suddenly, when we stop wanting to prove, to defend, to compare, when we start we want to stop to judge or to have an opinion, it feels strangely good, a strange sentiment of feeling that appears. And this is how we realize that the ego is not bringing something good in every situation, but it's the opposite, It brings kind of a heaviness that I always need to be on guard, like a small dog that barks. The master, then, when you really realize that the ego doesn't serve you, when you really realize that the ego doesn't serve you, you can really become the true self that doesn't need much to live. You know, the people follow the master usually not because the master demands authority or the master assert dominance. For me, those people, they're not real leader. The real leader, the real master, they are grounded, calm, clear. They know their role in the whole picture. They don't have to assert it. They don't have to show a dominance because they want to prove that it is their role. They don't just tell people what to do, but they know their role, they do their role, and they lead if they need to lead. If it's a task that people needs from them, it's gonna lead. And when it's time to, of course. And when this is one of the most beautiful quote of the book, when the work is done, people say, yes, we did it ourselves without any help. This is the peak of mastery, the real master. And the master trusts the process. Even the chaos. The masters know that chaos is part of the flow. It means that we are here in the life to experience problems and adapt and accept and forgive, and this is our experience here in life. So when we know that the chaos is part of life, we there's no need to panic anymore. The master observes and adapts, and adapting, it is the key to understand how really we can be good and not use our ego. The master moves with what it is. When you fill a vase with water, the water takes the shape of the vase. It adapts. It's super malleable in that way. So adaptation is really the key. And more you know yourself, more you can adapt instead of fighting. There's no resistance anymore, no unnecessary suffering. What you resist, you fight. What you accept, you can move with it and adapt. And everything flows in the same direction. So acceptance is always the final destination. There's a current that brings you to acceptance, and you can try to swim against the current and fight against it. But as soon as you understand that you can let go and just let the current lead you. It's going to bring you to a peaceful acceptation phase. The master doesn't control the storm. He stops standing against the wind. The storm, there will always be some storm, and the goal is to stop standing against the wind and let the storm go. The rigid tree stands tall, but it breaks in the storm. The soft reeds bends and survive. So the soft overcomes the hard, and the gentle overcomes the rigid. And the ego is always telling us to be rigid, to be big, to show itself. But it's when we become gentle that everything is more soft and everything can be acceptable. This is why this is pure. In other words, trust the process. No force, no resistance, just alignment, just inevitability. Nature does not hurry, but yet everything gets accomplished. That's why we don't need to panic things, we don't need to rush things, we don't need to force things because nature itself is going to accomplish what it needs to accomplish, like a canyon that is carved with water. And still, everything unfolds with the Tao. The way reality is made, this is part of the nature of the way. The Tao. This is part of the nature of God. And there is the quiet twist here. The master is not trying to be a master at all. The moment you try to become a master, you already lost it. You already stepped out of it. If you want to become a master, it is because you think that you are not the master already, that you don't have it in you. And then you're going to try to put some work into it. And by putting the work, you will try to show it, and you will attach that master like illusion to a persona, to your ego, and you're going to try to be that persona again. It's a circle. We come back into, and this is a story of life. We always come back into that ego persona creation. It's the answer is more like remembering something that is ancient inside of you, that it's a you had it, you were closer to it when you were young, when you were a baby, and it is already there. You don't need to reach for it. It's like the beginning of the book. When you try to name the Tao, we lose a meaning. When you try to be someone, you lose to be someone because you put the word trying in the way. The way of the master isn't about becoming someone greater. It's about removing everything that is in you until only the truth remains, the true nature of you, which is the Son of God, which is you are the Son of God. Now I hear you say it's so beautiful what you're saying right now. It's so beyond us. But life brings problem all the time. I cannot accept everything and not defend myself. If someone punches me in the face, I have to protect myself and I have to fight back, right? And or fight for my life or fight for survival. And you're completely right. Like life always brings some fights and some problems, but we can see it as wars all the time. Okay, and wars, if someone attacks you, you have to defend yourself. And even a simple argument is like a battle in a war. So let's take that image and talk about like what we do in wars. But wars is just a wars of ideas, and sometimes we think we need to put our ego to fight the wars inside of us. But let me read the chapter 31 of the Tao Te Ching. Weapons are the tools of violence. All decent men detest them. Weapons are the tools of fear. A decent man will avoid them except in the direst necessity, and, if you compelled, will use them only with the utmost restraint. Peace is the highest value. If the peace has been shattered, how can we be content? His enemies are not demons, but human beings like himself. He doesn't wish them personal harm, nor does he rejoice in victory. How could he rejoice in victory and delight in the slaughter of men? He enters a battle gravely, with sorrow and with great compassion, and as if we were attending a funeral. And this is real mastery beyond ego. Every confrontation that we have with people or with ourselves is like taking a weapon and starting to fight. And most people when we have to fight, we have to fight. You have to defend yourself sometime. So first question you have to ask yourself, do I have to defend myself in that situation? Or because words are words, being offended is being offended. Do I really need to defend myself? Well, what if I need to defend myself? Most people, they celebrate in winning. They take pride in domination. They attach their identity to victory and to being better. They feel separated from other human beings because I'm good, you are evil. So I'm good and I can judge you. So we're separated. We're not the same kind of being. We think we are allowed to judge them, and we have ill intention in those fights. We hate them. And I think it's all about the intention there. If you have to fight, you can fight with the good intention, and this is what the chapter 31 that I just read is about. I have a question for you. If we hate the devil himself, who is really winning? Because the devil, the ego wants people to hate, right? This is the goal of evil, to hate other, to fear and to hate. So if you hate evil, are you winning? Are you winning or evil is winning? And it's easier when people are separated for the evil to prevail. So that's the question. I'll let you answer that. But I will tell you how the master sees it. The master sees all the cost of fighting all the time because it costs something. Every confrontation, every argument, it costs something to life, to everybody. With others, even the smallest argument, we have to ask ourselves, is it really worth it? That whole argument? Do I really need to defend myself? What do you really want to protect yourself again at the end of the day? Can we be offended by words? Is words really um, hurting people, or we kind of take them as we want? The master feels the weight of that confrontation and the implication of what it brings to the world. So it doesn't inflate the self to win. Some fights are inevitable, but we have to protect ourselves. But even in winning, there is no celebration. There's no hate. There's no happiness about something dying. If the master wins a war, he mourns. He feels sorrows for a fellow human being lost, even if it's just an argument. That's the loss of that oneness. When we argue with somebody, usually it's because we want that person to agree with us. We want to connect with someone, and we disagree so much that we start to argue, and we feel hurt because we're not connected anymore. And if the masters understand that, he will feel the loss of not being connected just to win an argument. Because we're all human being after all, and in our nature, we want to connect everybody together. And if when we're disagree, is because when we disagree, we become angry not to connect, and we start fighting. It's like fighting against a brother and a sister when you're young. Huh? You in the fight, you're like, I hate you. I'm gonna kill you with that fork, you know. But uh, after a bit, we realize that you love your brother, your sister, and you don't want any ill. You don't want it to hurt nobody, especially someone you love. And it should be like this with everybody. It's not just the bloodline that should put a wall to contain compassion. It's just a bloodline. We should act like this with everybody, see human beings behind every conflict, and say, okay, if I have to defend myself, I won't do it. I don't take pleasure in it. He who is in harmony with the Tao is like a newborn child. His bones are soft, his muscles are weak, but his grip is firm. So we accept, we adapt, but we know what we want, and we do it to a better world, to suit a better world. It is uncorrupted nature, like a small child, and this is why we see a depiction of childs in every religion, because it is the uncorrupted nature. We're living in this world, but we're not ardent by it. We just put the ego aside, and we say we don't need to build that persona to harden ourselves for this world. We're not twisted by ambitions or fear or grief or pride, but we stay grounded. In the book they say that you can go up or down on a ladder. You will never but the safest place to be is 2 feet grounded on the ground, is to stay focused and be grounded on the ground. And this is the way I see it. You know, if we're twisted by ambition, fear, grief, or pride, we're not gonna be grounded 2 feet on the ground. So the master is untouched by the world. In the pursuit of learning, every day something is acquired. In a pursuit of the Tao, then every day something is dropped. Instead of trying to acquire something, we can drop things that we don't need in our personality. It is society, social media, works that adds layers to us. And the Tao removes the layer because we realize that we don't need it. And this is how we become less corrupted in itself. We return to simplicity. And this is if we all become less corrupted individually, then society becomes less corrupted. The further we drift from our roots, the more we forget each other, our roots, our divinity inside of us. And the closer we return, the more natural it becomes to share, to help, to treat others as we ourselves have always wanted to be treated. And this is the law of one. This is the golden rule. Treat someone like you want to be treated. And I know it sounds silly, but at the same time, if everybody does that, it would be way better because we're all the same human being, divine but with an ego. The sage stays behind, thus he is ahead. He is detached, thus at one with all. More you detach with the world, more where you are at one with all. You see how it is paradoxal? This is the yeah, this is exactly the idea. We are living in a society, and I would say in a weird society, but we don't have to be entangled into the its detail. The master lives in this world, but doesn't belong in this world, and we can see it in the Bible too. In John 17:14, Jesus says, "They are not of the world, just as I'm not of this world." So it means that he's living in this world, he still act, speak, exist in the society, but it doesn't belong to it. You're not defined by its values, by fears, by illusions, by everything we see out there, judgment, opinion, and it's the same current as the Tao. Be present but not entangled. Act but not attached. Live but not owned by the system or its expectations. So, what do you need to defend yourself against? I'm asking you again the question. Do you really need that ego to defend yourself against words, against actions, against being offended? Still, the need to defend ourselves physically or mentally is there, but if we do, we don't have to wish ill to our opponent because that person thinks that they need a personal or ego to defend themselves as well. Both are in the same situation, are mirroring each other, are projecting to each other. And now we know that all that projection, it's an illusion. And we can return to the real person we always been, the real master of the world, the master of ourselves. To return to our roots is to remember what we always known, to share without counting, to help without expecting, to treat every person as we ourselves long to be treated. Thank you very much. This was everything for today. Please subscribe, comment, share if you like the content. I'm gonna put some clips again of that content. And namaste. Thank you for being there. Be the master.